Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Friday Night Hangout brought to you by the Craft Beer Nation. Tonight, our show is dedicated to trade bait, any beer that can be considered trade bait. So there are two sides of the coin that you can stand on with this. It could be a beer that someone else may get that's trade bait for you, or it could be a beer that you have that you know is going to be trade bait for someone else, or maybe you have a beer that's gonna fit both of those categories. We'll see. Before we get into the show, though, I want to remind you that you can check out our Pints and Quarts show. Airs every Thursday at 9:30. Last night we had Florian Couplet. He's the brewmaster and co-founder of
Urban Chestnut.
Urban Chestnut Brewing. I had a brain fart just now. Over in St. Louis, Missouri. They just opened up a brewery in Germany. They have a lot of European and German styles of beers, and they also have another line where they try to do a bunch of fun, kind of sort of mainline, American mainline type stuff. So be sure to check that out. Go to our YouTube channel. You can see the show from last night. So that said, let's get right into the show. It's our pleasure tonight to be graced with the presence of the one and only Matthew Miller. Matt, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing well. I'm doing well.
Yeah,
that's right. I need some play-on music, like in the baseball big leagues.
Yep.
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's nice to be back and have a few beers with you guys. I've missed you.
Often imitated, but never duplicated.
Never. That's a lot. That's a lot of toner. Yeah.
We are also joined by Jeffrey J. Davis. Jeffrey, how are you doing tonight?
What's up, kids? It's all good. I'm doing well. Good to be here.
All right. I think we're gonna be drinking some good beer tonight. I saw Matt smell his beer earlier and almost jammed the napkins. Had to jam the napkins down his pants. So I'm interested to see what he's drinking. And we're also joined by Freddie Rodriguez. Freddie, how are you doing tonight, my man?
I'm doing good, Randy, man. As always, good beer, good people. How's everyone else?
Everyone is
good. It's been so long since we've hung out, Freddie. Your whole room down there has changed.
Like that,
or did you just turn the computer around a different way?
No, it's been like that for a little bit now. It's just been a while.
There's a cool Paris skyline there.
He built himself a Cadillac of a computer, and now his monitor is in a different position, Matt. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I am almost 100% positive that because of tonight's topic and because of Freddie's T-shirt, I can guarantee you that my man is going to be drinking the Trillium beer tonight. We'll just have to wait and see if I'm clairvoyant or not. And we are also joined by Charlie Dunkley. Charles, what's up, man? How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Randy. How you doing?
Doing well, my man. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna give Charlie a little bit of some time since he just jumped in. We got to get the settings and everything primed, but Matt's in here looking like he's doing a line inside this cup.
Yeah.
Matt,
first I chop the beer up and get it parsed out. And I've got these. I'm trying to grow these long fingernails.
just get a little bit.
Booger sugar.
Yeah, that's how you take the hops directly into the vein. I've got a beer tonight.
Mainlining hops.
I've got a beer tonight that I have put off drinking for quite a while. It was sent to me by Ashley Bauer, the beer fairy, quite a while ago. She got it off the shelf when it was bottled, and this was bottled in November of 2013. So, so we're coming up on 3 years, or 2.5 years, I guess. So she sent this to me. This is Westbrook's Mr. Chipper.
Oh, that's a good beer. That's a great beer.
And when I wanted to.
Yeah, and a lot of people did, and I've had it in the fridge, and I keep thinking that I'm going to put it up on a trade board or give it to somebody for something, but no, tonight I'm going to drink it. So it's been in the the cellar for 2.5 years, and it's a sour. It's a Flanders style sour red ale aged in wine barrels, and you've seen me examining it here. The color on this thing is camera.
Ruby.
Yeah, the camera is not doing it much justice. It's ruby. It's extremely clear.
Yep.
I've tried not to disturb the barrel. I'm sure there's some sediment down in the bottom of the 750 here.
Matt, you could see it when you held it up like that just now. You could see the
Oh,
color
yeah.
on your hand. The
Oh.
glass when you held.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Look at his hand. See the way that's like shining through there. It's
Yeah. It is a brown to ruby color. The aroma is really. Now there again, I don't know, Jeff. How long ago did you have it? Did you have it when it was freshly bottled?
Yeah, like within a couple months. But I mean,
Yeah.
That's a Flemish red. It'll age. You know,
Yeah.
it's a bottle condition. It'll just age and develop. I mean.
Yeah, it says it's only 6.8 alcohol by volume, but
Yeah.
in the nose I get three things. I get booze first, then I get the wild fermentation, the I don't know, the horse blanket, a little bit of that, and then the acidity, the
Yep.
sour comes right up into the nose. Fortunately for me, I'm not a big fan of the Brett sours. I don't like the funk. I like the acidity more, and this one really delivers on that. I was afraid it was going to be really funky. I actually poured out Saison Brett before it was too funky for me. So
I did the same thing, Matt. I don't like that beer at all.
That's wrong.
So,
That's wrong.
I know it's wrong, but to a lot of people it is. But this beer, there's no booze in the taste. It's all in the nose. It's really a tart, bright, acidic beer. I'm enjoying it very much.
Matt,
I'm not going to have any problem drinking all 750 of it.
Matt, that beer, it's the same style as like a Rodenbach Grand Cru or a Duchess de Bourgogne. And, typically for the style, you should get like some woodiness, and then frequently you get like balsamic vinegar. Do you get any acetic or balsamic vinegar?
Well, definitely, definitely the vinegar finish to it. I don't get the wood. I don't know. I think maybe some of the other things are overpowering that for me, but I'm glad Ashley spent, I don't know, $17.99, $18 and sent it to me.
That one was pretty limited, and I think they've only brewed it once. I mean, it was pretty hard to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted that one for a while, mostly because it's Westbrook. But
yeah,
I mean,
too late now. I only had one and I opened it. It was either this or Kickin' Chicken. I have a Kickin' Chicken in the fridge from Boris yet. Yeah, right. Too. I'm gonna drink this and then that. Yeah.
Well, that one's only 6.8%.
Yeah.
So
just pre-gaming, Matt.
It's my fourth beer of the night, though. So.
Matt, please come on.
I'm a lightweight.
Appetizer.
Yeah. My liver needs a workout. It's out of shape.
Exactly. You gotta shock it.
No better time.
You gotta shock it. Wake up, bastard! What are you doing down there?
That's right. Freddie, go ahead. Tell us how your double dry hop Congress Street is.
Nah, man. So yeah, I'm drinking a Trillium. It's actually bottled today. It's
really.
It's metal. It's called Metal. It's a double IPA. This was their first anniversary beer.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's Amarillo Citrus, in Columbus. You can see it's as always nice, kind of goldeny orange, kind of hazy. Not super turbid, but definitely you're not seeing through that,
Right.
As always, big, nice, like super juicy, like tropical notes. Big, like what's it called? Citrus notes, of course. Now, but on the mouthfeel, this is a nice medium to soft mouthfeel. You get all those flavors. It's brewed with some rye there, and you get that kind of like, it's like a little bit of spiciness in it, which is kind of cool. It has like this very nice gentle carbonation. It feels like this beer just, everything about it just really works itself up. You know what I mean? Like everything just dances on the palate as you drink it. It just keeps you. It's just, again, it's very inviting. Like you want to keep drinking it. Like you put it down, you just pick it up again. You want to take another sip. There's something about it how it's almost like it just flushes away, and you just almost left like, all right, I need another sip.
So it finishes super dry. That's how, I mean, and I say this about Trillium, man. Even their pale ales, their IPAs, their double IPAs, they all finish like nice and dry, making you just want to take another sip.
And this isn't like one of the driest of their beers either. It's just like something about it just always like, it just feels like it's like, you have like some food and you say it melts in your mouth. It's almost that kind of feel for a beer. It's like literally like, it's in there, you have the explosion, this flavor. It hangs in there, like it just dances around, and it's like, and it's just like something about it just triggers like Gotta have more. I gotta take one more sip.
So it's really dry. Yeah.
What's the ABV on that, Freddie?
8.4.
Did you say that was bottled today, Freddie?
Yes, sir.
Man, stupid fresh. Stupid fresh.
4.1.
You
Damn,
might
dude.
as well. You might as well have been leaning on the bright tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's one of the pluses of kind of working close by to one brewery and living 15 minutes from their second brewery.
So as it relates to trade bait, that
Mhm.
not just metal, but I mean almost
I think
anything
the brewery in
the
general.
brewery period. Trillium. It could be Trillium bottled water, and people be like, "Yo, let me get that ISO."
Yeah, I mean, they've made again in a short period of time they made quite the name for themselves. I think it just the Northeast and East in general, things have changed, and I mean, it's happening so fast. But these guys, I mean, they're consistently, they're making really good product. They've really bumped up their capacity. You go there now, and they have again. Here's the thing, like this is as far as trade bait goes too, and no disrespect to anything, but there's some breweries around, right? You're gonna wait. They're far away. You gotta drive an hour and a half to get to. You're gonna wait in line 3 hours. You have limited. You're gonna wait 3 hours in line to get 5 beers or 4 beers, right? Like limits. Drive back another hour and a half. Trillium. One good thing about them is like they're very popular. You would think it'd be loaded all the time. I go today to the Canton facility. Literally 2 people in the bottle line, a couple people doing samples. That's it. I in and out literally within 5 minutes. Huge. Yeah, it's tons of the limits. You can get a case of like almost any beer you want that they have. I mean, you can't really beat that. Period, man.
Yeah.
It's tough, and again, like you said, like tons of people, kind of want to try it or want more of it.
Yeah, I mean the Northeast, particularly New England. I mean, not to we can't take anything away from Trillium. I mean, because their popularity
Yeah.
is based solely off of the beer that they've brewed. I mean, they do it right.
Yeah.
They brew great beer, and I mean, you can't take that away from them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's not just them in the Northeast. A lot of those guys in New England. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of brewers up there are making beer that's trade bait for everybody else across the country. I mean, even so to the point where you got cats like Tired Hands and cats like Hoof Hearted and outside of Columbus that are all kind of brewing that New England style of IPA
Yeah.
because it's working. I mean, for a long time, you get an IPA that looks like that, and people are like, oh, this thing
Man, I
is.
saw there's I think it's a new brewery. I don't know if they're open up. It's in Florida. It's like Palm something brewing, but they had a picture of their double IPA. It looked like yeast starter. Like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
no
it
doubt.
was like so cloudy. It looked like it was just like,
Yeah,
whoa. It's not even, you know what I
yeah.
mean? It was
There's even
ridiculous. I was like, wow, look at that.
There's even a brewery here in Northern Virginia. I can't remember. It's either called Ocelot or Aslan, one of the two. Two breweries up here, and one of them has a super turbine New England style IPA. So I mean, that's what's hot now. That's gonna be the next
Yeah.
big thing in beer, at least as far as IPAs are concerned. And if you happen to live somewhere, particularly on the East Coast, where you can get this distinctive version of an IPA that's not
Hmm.
that's not the typical balanced East Coast version or
Yeah,
the
yeah.
hop assault West Coast version. It's just a totally different take on the IPA, and these beers are gonna be trade bait for everybody else in the country who can't or who don't have access to them. So
Absolutely.
cheers to Trillium. Jeffrey J. Davis.
Yeah. So
Talk to me.
I actually don't do a lot of trading. Most of the trading I do is just a couple times a year, but mostly with you guys. I don't have a problem like Freddie does, and I don't have to get counseling from my trading affliction. So I pick up beers mostly from my own cellar, and this is Russian River Supplication.
Yes, sir. I have one in my fridge.
And I think I think it qualifies as trade bait just because it's pretty hard to get. I mean, like to get the bottles, basically you got to go to the brewery just about, and it's an epic beer. And again, I'm keeping it proper, so proper
Easy, man.
glassware, proper shirt,
This
So
guy.
The color on this thing is really nice. It's a brown ale aged in Pinot barrels aged with cherries, Sonoma Pinot barrels with cherries added. It's got they put both Brett, Saccharomyces, and lacto in the barrel when they age it, so it's good and funky. And this is May 11th. 2015 bottling, so it's still pretty the cherry flavors are still, cherry and the Pinot are still relatively strong. I've done verticals of this beer and it does age very gracefully, but you lose the real kind of in your face tartness from the cherries and the Pinot. This one's still pretty, it's juvenile still, but I mean the nose is amazing. You get it's obviously funky. You know that before you even taste it. You get a lot of earthiness. It's not horse blanket, but you just get that kind of musty, little bit of mustiness. You smell the cherries. I get like tobacco actually in the nose, tobacco or cedar in the finish, and you smell sort of the woodiness from the barrels. I mean, the flavor's amazing. It's kind of got all those things you smell. You get a little more of the barrel flavor, kind of oaky, a little bit of vanilla, but then the tartness on the finish, both from the cherries and a little bit from the wine barrels. It doesn't have a lot of head, but I poured this thing like 25 minutes ago. It's still laced nicely. And it's surprising that the mouthfeel is actually, I would almost call it a little bit creamy. I mean, it's a well carbonated beer, but it's not thin at all. It's kind of really coats the back of your tongue, and it's got a kind of a pretty creamy mouthfeel to it.
Yeah, that's a sour, man, that I will never turn down. And as far as Russian River goes, particularly for those of us on the East Coast, I mean, Jeffrey L's on a Pliny shirt, but any of Russian River's beers that end with Asian are going to be, everybody's going to want them, especially on the East Coast, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's trade bait for us on the East Coast, and it's also, even if we have them, other people are going to want them. So, yeah, they're doing it right too.
Yeah, another brewery, like you said earlier, right? There's just tons of people want their stuff from there. Obviously, Pliny, Blind Pig to Supplication.
I think probably Pliny, a little bit of the, and I think rightfully so, a little bit of the novelty is off of that beer. It's a great IPA, but it's not really that distinguished from a lot of other great IPAs, if you ask me. So I wouldn't do crazy to trade to get a bottle of Pliny, but for their sours, I would. I think it's worth it.
And to go back to, well, Jeffrey, you said that they have Brett in that beer.
Yeah.
And Matt spoke earlier about Brett. I mean, I think it's important to point out, even though this isn't necessarily on the topic of tonight, there's like 6 or 7 different strains of Brett, and and I think there's one that gives you more of the acidic quality, and the rest of them give you that barnyard type funk, which I don't like. I was fortunate enough to I like the strain that's used in that Supplication, which I'm going to assume is probably the same strain that is in Matt's Mr. Chipper, and I think Crooked Stave may use some type of version of that beer in a lot of their beers as well. So several different strains of Brett that are going to give you a little, different.
Yeah,
different
I think I'm predicting this would fall in your strike zone, Randy. I think you've had it. You said, but
I have a bottle of it.
You smell, you can smell that it's a wild ale, but it's not. It doesn't have a lot of phenol. It's not the funky where it's like Band-Aids and heavy phenol. It's more like I would say earthy. It's an earthy funk. It's great. And they list on there, says lactobacillus, Brettanomyces, Saccharomyces, and Pediococcus, which I don't even know what that is, but I guess that's a wild yeast as well. And they add
Pediococcus.
Yeah, Pediococcus. Yeah, I don't.
Hey, watch your mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, easy.
Yep, good beer though.
Nice.
Chuck, get on the mic. What are you drinking, my man?
Well, I don't really have any trade baits. I only have one that I guess kind of could be considered, but I already told Freddie I'm going to send it to him. After I sent Doug his.
You should have just opened it, man. Who cares?
Yeah, I had one. I had one already. So, but that's I've got an Abraxas on the shelf to go after Freddie.
There you go.
But so I'm just kind of going with a drink local to make up for it.
Nice.
The new.
That's the new one, right? Yes, I saw that. Yeah.
The new Game of Thrones Seven Kingdoms Hoppy Wheat Ale.
That's your second one, right?
Yeah, I had one the other night. As soon as Tuesday night, I think I had it.
I picked up one on the strength of what you said too.
It's actually really, really good. It's got a it's their Belgian wheat based beer, but so it has some of those characteristics you'd expect. But there's a lot of floral notes, citrus. You get a little orange and lemon, and there's something else in there. But it even has like a spicy pepper feel to it, and then you get all the hops. And just looking at the website, it's got it's hopped with Bravo, Centennial, Citra, Cascade, and Columbus. And it also has oats in it too. So
nice.
So here's the thing. That's a
feel.
Normally you don't get like people who throw in oats on top of a wheat ale, like throwing oats on top of that.
Yeah.
And then nor do you get them with all those different hop varieties that you just called out. So that sounds like it's interesting.
Yeah, it is a very interesting beer. You get the wheat beer, which you get that sort of, I don't know if it's the same base as their Witte, which is just their Belgian wheat. I don't know if that's what they use or not as a base recipe, but you get some floral notes, you get the citrus, and you get spice. They have sugar in there, so you get a sort of a sweetness as well, and then you get the bittering hops. So they manage to accomplish a lot in just as hoppy wheat ale, which doesn't really do it justice in what you're getting out of it. And then with the oats, it does have a nice smoother. So they find a way to balance all these different things going on at the same time. They did a really good job. It's just the sixth, I think, beer in their Game of Thrones series, and I put this in the top 3 out of the 6.
I picked one up and I was gonna save it for when Game of Thrones comes back on later this month. Yeah. I was like, my store got plenty. Just drink it and buy some more.
Yep.
So when the first ones came out, the stores had a couple of bottles and that was it. Now they stock them up.
That cinnamon infused. That last one which was the last one? The cinnamon Abbey Ale or something?
No, it wasn't the black stout.
The last one out was like a dragon's something or other.
I don't remember which one.
I've screwed it. Sorry for opening my mouth. I should have gone to Google first.
Yeah, I thought the Three-Eyed Raven might have been the last one, but
yeah, I think it was Three-Eyed Raven. Yeah,
I think Charles is the Google of all things Omagong and especially Game of Thrones. So you don't need to go to Google.
Valar Morghulis.
Yeah. All men must die.
Yeah, that was the spicy one.
Yeah, that came out before. Three-Eyed Raven. That was another version of like a Belgian double.
Nice.
All right.
Too.
Douglas.
This is just one last thing. This is their new bottle.
Is that a 750, Charles?
Yeah.
It is a 750, but it's like a slimmer. Design.
It's a Boulevard bottle, is what it is.
Yeah, basically. Because they used to come in bottles like this.
Yeah, corked and caged.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is corked and caged still, but
is it?
Bottle, yeah. And even at 12 ounces, they're moving into the shorter snub-nosed kind of bottle like Boulevard uses for the 12 ounce. They're redoing all of their packaging, all their bottles.
They're getting that wholesale price on them bottles.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I did drop a question on their Instagram page asking them if that means they're redesigning all their glassware, but they haven't answered yet.
Did they know who you are, Charles?
Yeah. You need a name drop.
Douglas.
What's going on?
What you drinking tonight, man?
Well, I guess as far as trade bait goes, I haven't been doing a lot of trading lately, but I figured some that are sought after at times are the guys from the Wicked Weed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I went down to Greensboro today, and
Just for this hangout?
well, I wish I could say that was the case, but no.
Dedication.
Yeah.
We went to a little place Jeff Davis is, I'm sure, well aware of, a little
Best
store
Way.
called Best Way,
Yep.
which is like the greatest beer store I may have ever been to. But
I love Best Way.
oh my god, it's awesome. It's like, imagine going to a grocery store and you go to the beer aisle and the entire cooler, instead of, like the first 2 sections of craft beer and the rest is like Budweiser, it's like the entire length is all craft beers. Everything's refrigerated.
Then Belgians, then German, then Italian.
I don't know how they can pack so many beers on that little area, plus glasses.
Well, every time I go in there, I'm amazed there's so much beer there. You would think the store would be huge, and I feel like I don't know. It's weird. Like, you don't expect there to be that much there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got the Pernicious IPA.
That's a solid IPA right there.
And then it won silver at Great American Beer Festival this past year. And then now I'm drinking the El Patricio, or the Imperial Coffee Stout.
I've never had a stout from Wicked Wheat.
That's what I was going to say. They haven't made a lot of stouts, really, have they?
They've been pumping out some crazy stuff lately. They have like the
No, they've got a stout coming out, I think, tomorrow. It's the first. They're redoing the first ever stout they ever made. It's a bourbon barrel stout. It's being released, I think, at the brewery tomorrow, and then statewide distribution in the coming weeks. I don't know if there's anything special to it. I think it's just a bourbon barrel stout, but
I believe they had one, like, was it Milk and Cookies? Was a milk stout they bottled.
Yeah,
they canned s'mores. I think it was a stout, and French toast.
I don't know.
Like within the last 2 months, maybe.
They didn't have those that I'm aware of.
I think their cans were brewing only though.
Yeah, I mean, they had probably 30 Wicked Wheat beers there.
I've only ever had the Freak of Nature, the IPA from them. That's it.
Yeah, my buddy wanted me to get him some Wicked Wheat, so I got him Freaking Nature, Black Angel,
Dark
Angel's amazing.
Yeah.
and Levante with pears.
Yep.
So about that beer you're drinking.
It's fantastic. The Pernicious IPA I drank it a moment ago, and it's really good. But this the stout, it's amazing. Like, it's brewed with coffee and cocoa nibs. At first, when I first had it, I wasn't a huge fan of it. But now that it's warmed up, it's really kind of a chocolate coffee bomb. I mean, it's fantastic.
Is it barrel aged, Doug? Or?
No.
Okay.
What's the ABV?
9.
Yeah. It's all right. Breakfast.
It's probably
9.5.
I bet the coffee in that beer is, first of all, that beer right there. I think that one's trade bait more so than Pernicious. I mean, Pernicious is available widely if you're in their distribution footprint, and maybe that beer is too, but I just haven't seen it much. But I'm willing to bet that the coffee flavor is over the top on that bad boy.
And I mean, it's pretty aggressive. I mean, it was bottled on the 15th of February, so it's still relatively fresh. So the coffee hasn't really faded that much. I mean, it's really just it's kind of it's not like a creamy coffee like if you were to add sugar and cream. I mean, it's that kind of like straight black coffee. And you kind of get the bitterness of the coffee as well as the bitterness from the cocoa nibs.
Yeah, people think cocoa nibs impart like chocolate flavors. Nope.
They're bitter. Cocoa nibs are bitter.
Yeah, it gives you
you have to, if you want them sweet, you've got to use them in connection with other things. Like, I did an imperial stout with cocoa nibs, but also used cocoa powder and vanilla beans.
Yeah, I've used cocoa powder before.
So, yeah, it's awesome.
Yo, you know that we can't see you, right? Nor hear
Yeah. Just give me a few more minutes. I'm just.
You getting dressed?
I rushed out. Yeah, no.
Nice.
But I was having KBS, which is a pretty good trading bait. It was delicious, out of the tap. It was. Man, I forgot how much I liked that beer.
We forgot how much you hate Founders. Period.
I remember you. I think it was just last year, Gil. You like for Lent. You said I'm never buying anything from Founders again or something.
Sacrilege. No, that's heresy, man.
Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting on Gil to get dressed, I'm drinking. So the beer that I'm drinking, I think fits
Get
both.
dressed. Come on.
Just joking, man. I think the beer I'm drinking falls into.
Just for the record, I wouldn't get dressed for this hangout.
I just pictured like the weirdest thing, man. Not good.
Oh man. Okay. Anyway. Yeah. So the beer that I'm drinking.
Go ahead, Randy. Get it together, Randy.
All right. The beer that I'm drinking falls into both categories for me as it relates to trade bait. It's when I see somebody else with it, I'm like, dang, that's trade bait for me because I'm a sucker. I want it.
I'm a sucker.
Right? And then at the same time, it's trade bait for somebody else because if I have it, people are gonna be coming at me like, yo, where'd you get that? You know what I'm saying? And can you part with it? So
You're not the only sucker. That's what you're trying to say.
well, absolutely not. It's 6 more in this hangout with me tonight. So I'm going along the same lines as Freddie. I'm also drinking Trillium, but this is their dialed in double IPA brewed with Sauvignon Blanc grape juice.
I got the glass.
So there you go. Great minds think alike, man. And I'm keeping it proper. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm drinking out of a Trillium glass right there, a Trillium Willy Becker, and you can see how turbid this bad boy is. It literally looks like a glass of grapefruit juice, and their turbid game is off the chain.
Yeah.
So this beer,
oh, that beer's so good, man.
Freddie
So
said it all right there. I don't even know. I mean, I'm gonna say words that aren't gonna do this beer justice. So the nose, I mean, for this to, I know it has grape juice in it, but it smells like I'm drinking some type of citrus juice. I mean, and
Tangerine, man.
It's so good.
this is. Hold on, let me get a taste on it there. Nice medium, creamy, silky mouthfeel. I happen to think that leaving the beer unfiltered makes it. It gives it more mouthfeel to me. Unfiltered, and I found that to be true when Stone did their unfiltered Enjoy By. I thought that beer had a little bit more body than the regular Enjoy By. So maybe that's part of the reason why I'm a big fan of Trillium so much is because I don't like thin beer, and all of their beers have like this nice luscious mouthfeel, while still it's a double IPA, but it's not astringent. It's appropriately hopped. It's properly hopped.
It's not a palate wrecker, right?
What did you think about the?
Not at all. No.
What did you think of Tired Hands? Do you think was it still thin for a turbid beer?
So I'll say this. I've never had anything from Treehouse, but I've had beer from Tired Hands. I've had beer from Hoof Hearted, and I've had beer from Trillium, all making that same New England style of IPA.
Yep.
And the people who are doing it get it right. Those three guys, and I've heard nothing but good things about Treehouse, so I'm assuming they're in the same vein. But this Tired Hands makes as good of a. Well, I've only had one beer from Tired Hands, so and that was Alien Church that I got from Gil. And I don't want to put them on Trillium's level yet because I haven't had more than one beers from them, but I've had a couple different ones from Hoof Hearted, and Hoof Hearted brews it just as good as Trillium does, in my opinion. And they all have that beautiful mouthfeel that, I mean, a lot of people like to see filtered beer because they think it looks so pretty, but for me, this is beautiful. This is beautiful to me. I love
but
this.
I think that from all those beers, the Treehouse is the one that has more. It's more turbid than other one. It looks like orange juice.
No, I think Hoof Hearted by far.
Hoof Hearted is
super. Again, yeast starter. It looks like yeast starter. Legit. It's just it's like overly cloudy. Like it looks.
Yeah.
You haven't sent me any of that yet, Freddie.
Hoof Hearted.
I did send you what's it called? Everybody Wants. That was so
So,
hard.
yeah, no, so I was mixing. Actually, I meant that beer. That beer that was meant, that was like orange juice. Yeah, sorry about that.
I gave you the virtual slap.
Hoof-hearted, if you have a bottle conditioned beer, and you know how it looks when you get to the dregs at the bottom,
hmm
that's how hoof-hearted pours from the beginning, from
Yep.
the top. And listen, that Matt, you were about to say something.
Well, how does the turbidity come? What is suspended in there that creates the opacity?
We've been wondering for a long time.
There's a. I don't know if you guys are
Rumors.
familiar with the. Or follow. Are you guys had him on Pints of Quartz? The Get Mad Fermentationist.
Yeah.
He did a. He did an IPA, and I think. I want to say he used some sort of like wheat flour in his mash. You'd have to, if you go to his blog, it was recently.
His name is Michael Tonsmere.
Michael Johnsmere, yeah. And you know, the funny thing with those turbid beers, there's not a lot of sediment flying around.
Right. It's perfect suspension. That's why. So it was. Okay. So from what I've read.
It never settles.
Well,
out.
I heard from what I heard from Treehouse too. Is Treehouse? I want to say it's Treehouse, so don't quote me, but I believe it was they on an interview or something came up and they were like, I think maybe Beer Advocate on a post, people were talking about it, and they like someone chimed in from Treehouse like hashtag no wheat flour haze, because I think that people were like doing shortcuts to get like that kind of look, some breweries, and it just wasn't, because I guess the mouthfeel is incredibly different as well. Like Randy was saying, how some of these hazy or turbid beers have a very almost like a chewy IPA, to the point where they can get so.
So here's what I think, and of course this is just all opinion, right, or all speculation. I think that there is a certain amount of oats in the beer. I think they put some flaked oats in there, and I also think that all of these beers are dry hopped, and I think it has something to do with, I think I've read or heard somewhere, the hops that they're using have an extremely high hop oil content.
Yep.
So when they dry hop this beer, when they're brewing the beer with this high oil content, there's a lot of hop oils in the beer, and then they turn around and dry hop it. So there's a lot of oil in there for hop residue and all that stuff to stick to, that causes the turbidity.
I think it's a combination. I think you're right. I think you're on something there, Randy. I think that's probably one of the reasons. But I think it has to be the unfiltering. It has to be part of it as well.
And it might also have something to do with the yeast strain that they're using. That's not gonna clear the beer out.
No clarification.
Yeah, I still think the biggest contributor to it is still the malt. Like, I think there's some sort of wheat malt or some sort of oats in there to really kind of give it that.
So I mean, this isn't super like you would think. Like, it's like, all right, it's pretty hazy, right? It's not. You don't have a chill haze going on. I mean, it's not super turbid like cloudy milky, but this is American Two-Row, Valley Danko Rye, and I believe it's they have Valley Wheat as well. Here with some dextrin and dextrose, whatever. I'm assuming to dry it out, but
so they do actually call out wheat in the grain bill, though.
Yep. Yep. And
Yeah, I think that's got to be like the main.
Well, I heard too. From what I heard too is again, Manny mentioned it earlier. Is that was a big thing. We always talk about this. Me and some of my friends too. It's I hear the dry hopping with very high oil during fermentation is like. Again, I don't know. I'm not the brewing expert by any means, but.
So here's the thing, Freddie. So this beer right here is they use Galaxy. That's why I love this beer. Galaxy hops in the secondary. They dry hop it with Galaxy hops, and then
I know.
The malt bill for this beer is Pilsner.
Yes.
C15, which is going to give it almost no color, I believe.
Yeah.
They use flaked wheat. So I'm guessing some of it comes from that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to look at
dextrin, I don't know what dextrin lends to.
Does dextrin dry it out, like give you a dry finish?
Yeah.
Well, dextrin's a sugar,
body.
right?
Yeah. It gives body too, a little bit of body.
Well, that's maltodextrin.
Yeah.
Yeah, dextrin probably ferment. It probably ferments
A
out
lot
really.
of
I think
a
so.
lot of IPAs, big double IPAs will use a lot of not a large amount, but they'll have maybe 5-10% of the grain bill to be sugar to really kind of allow that to ferment out to give a lot of IPAs, double IPAs, that kind of drier finish
Yeah,
to allow the
finish.
hops
Yeah,
to
that's how
kind
I
of
do.
shine through more.
I gotta finish the
So
second one.
I plan on brewing a beer this summer. It's gonna be Galaxy and Citra, and I want to figure out a way to make it turbid. So I'm gonna see if I can play with the recipe, do some internet research, throw some flaked wheat in there or something like that, and see what we get. Anybody on beer number 2?
Yeah, you know I am, man. I don't play.
Yep.
Mother.
Jeff Days is on 6.
Yeah, no. So I'm just keeping the trend going. So picked up on the same trip. This is the Consecration. So this is the sour that's aged in Cabernet barrels with currants. So the other is Pinot barrels with sour cherries. This one's Cab with currants, and it's a bigger beer. It's 10%. This is brewed June of last year, bottled June of last year, and this thing pours. It's kind of the same color, but this pours almost like a still beer. It's not still. There is a very little carbonation, but there was.
Looks almost like wine.
Yeah, there was no head when I poured it, and there's, even if you agitate it, there's nothing going on there. And you just have a little bit of bubbles coming up. It's this. I've had this a few times, and I think it seems different than the last year that I had. It's the nose is not. It's more subtle. Everything about it is more subtle, even though this isn't an aged beer. You get funk in the nose a little bit. You definitely smell the vinous notes from a cab barrel. I can't say that I really smell currants. I can't say that I really taste currants. But there's a lot. It's one of those beers that there's nothing really big that's just hitting you in the face. But as you nom it in your mouth, I mean, there's a lot of subtlety and a lot of complexity. A lot of kind of different flavors. Very, very earthy. Not overly sour. It's not overly tart. I probably wouldn't guess it's 10%. If I didn't see it on the label, it's not hot at all. So it's definitely well put together. I actually like the other one better than this one, but they're both exceptionally made, really great beers.
Does it give you like that like a how's the finish?
The finish is it's not dry, but you get the tartness kind of comes in at the back of your palate, on the finish as you're swallowing it. So that kind of clean in a different but maybe a similar way to what Freddie was talking about earlier. It's tart enough and sort of crisp enough that it kind of finishes clean and makes you kind of say, hey, it's time to take another sip of this. Don't bother setting it on the table.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very inviting.
Mm-hmm. Inviting.
I like that.
I'm not sure if I've ever had that one, so that'd be trade based.
I went to this brewery twice, and I bought this the other time too, and and I think that, I mean, if I tasted this tastes like one that's been aged for like 3 or 4 years. It's really, it's complex, but it's really subtle. There's nothing strong, but it's, maybe just this year's batch was just, not as bold. I mean, it's great, but I remember it having, a little more aggressive notes to it the last year that I had it. So
I feel like that one's more towards someone that may be more into wine more than some of the funky sour things, because Supplication and Temptation are definitely way more tart than that one.
Yeah, I agree. The tartness is, I would say, relatively low, Doug. I mean, it's got a lot there, but it's not bracing. It's pretty soft.
And I feel like it also has, like you were talking about the finish, and whether I feel like the other ones are a little bit more dry, and it definitely has that more, viscousy, winey
Yep.
mouthfeel to it.
Anybody, anybody else on that second beer?
I'm gonna drink mine in a second. I'm just letting it sit. It's a little. It's not cold, but.
Doug, I know you're on the second beer. You've been here for all of 7 minutes.
Well, I actually am still drinking the
What?
Wicked Weed.
So let's talk about this then. So we're talking about trade bait. I know a lot of people say like, oh, they haven't traded, they don't trade at the moment, etc. But I know a few of us may have not traded as frequently, but we follow craft beer. Period. We see what's going on. And there was an article recently. I think it was for Pint about the craft beer and trading. Period, and how it's getting kind of ridiculous. I for one, I do trade frequently because there's a lot of beers that I would like to try that obviously aren't distributed to me, and a lot of, let's say, brewery only beers as well. Excuse me. So the article was basically saying that I know me, Doug, I think Randy was there maybe 2 weeks ago on an after party. We're talking about how like beers, now it's becoming like to the point where it's like you're no longer buying the beer just to enjoy it yourself. Like someone will go stand in line for 2 hours, get a full limit at a release, and never even try the beer whatsoever.
Ticker's got a tick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't
getting-
make sense to me.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous.
That's
It's
when you
sad,
got a
man.
problem. You need to get help if you're doing that, man. Freddie.
It sucks. No, I'm not saying for me, dude, in particular. What I'm saying is because it sucks because it's gonna ruin it for you, especially like people, trading. All of a sudden, this beer has tons of hype behind it. Hype slam, for instance, let's say, right? It has tons of hype, and then all of a sudden, you will love to try that beer. You might as well just kiss the bye. You're never gonna ever try it because people will say, "Hey, Jeffrey, I want, the first whatever row of all your beers in your cellar for this one beer," because everybody wants it to value at $400. Let's say, you know what I mean? It's just getting ridiculous. It's no longer about the. It's almost.
It is crazy because nowadays I remember seeing a few years ago at I think it was Mexican Cake. Someone was posting on Craigslist where they're like, "Hey, I'll pay you $50 to come stand in line with me so I can get your allotment of beers."
Yep.
A few years ago, I was at the Barrel Aged Sexual Chocolate release, and somebody was they pulled the car into the parking lot right beside Foothills, and as people were walking out the back of the brewery with their allotment of beers, he's like, "Hey, can I buy some of your bottles off of you?" And there's people there that there's a couple people that I was with that he was there with his girlfriend, and so they were able to get like a case. And this guy had his tailgate open and just had cases and cases and cases of Barrel Aged Sexual Chocolate because he's offering people insane amounts of money just so he can still then make a lot more money.
Just like scalping tickets, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah, you have no idea, man.
Say I buy the beer for $20, he's buying it off somebody for $40, and he can still trade it for, maybe like $100, $200.
There's groups.
Market price.
There's groups within Facebook and blah 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 all over the place, right? What people do, that's what they do. They sell beer for like secondary value to people who aren't willing to, they're not going to trade beer. They just say, "Hey, I'll buy it, whatever. You have an extra, I'll buy it." I'm not going to go ahead and say the beer names here or whatever, but nonetheless, I recently saw bottles that were released over the weekend. I think they were like four bottles a person, a limit, and literally. Let's say the release, like the brewery opened at noon, like on a Saturday. By like 1 o'clock, an hour later, it was already being sold online for like literally, like let's say the bottle it was like $22 at the brewery. People literally, I saw this, people buying it for $300, $350 one bottle.
Yeah,
I forget what the name of the
ridiculous.
website is.
But it kills. It kills. But what happens is, this is my big problem too. Because it's not like, and I find this weird, like people go crazy just for IPAs, people go crazy for just like barrel-aged stouts or porters, barrel-aged barley wines, right? And they forget all about all the styles, period. And then secondly, they make it crazy hard for people who like, in general just like beer to try a different beer, right? Because now you're gonna go above and beyond to get that beer. You're never gonna, it just ruins the chance. And plus, once someone sets the standard, let's say Jeffrey J. Davis, right? He's the man. He does what he does. Owns half the world. He wants to go and says, you know what, Freddie, I want that medal. I'll give you $1,000. Once he sets that bar, that price, exactly. The next person who has that beer is going to want as much or maybe a little bit under, whatever the case may be, a little bit more. And then just completely forget about it. It's gone.
And I tell you what kills me about this whole thing, too, is the fact, and I know the beers I'm getting ready to mention, I know Jeffrey Davis holds them in very high regard, but as I was leaving Best Way today,
don't play with them.
Looking at all the beers, I'm looking at the Old Hickory section, and there's Event Horizon. There is Lindley Park. Event Horizon's the Bourbon Barrel Stout. Lindley Park's the Bourbon Barrel Raspberry Stout. And they're just sitting there. The Event Horizon was like $15.99. The Lindley Park was like $13.99, $14.99, and Event Horizon, I will put that barrel aged stout up against any other barrel aged stout out there.
Right on.
It is so fucking good, but it's like shelf turd in North Carolina. Yeah. It's just sitting there. You don't hear anybody talk about it. You don't ever. I mean, I think it's more or less the fact that it's more of an unknown to a lot of people.
Just not well known. Yep.
But I mean, it's so good.
I think that for people, like I only trade with people that I know now, simply because I think the secondary beer market has gotten completely out of hand.
Yep.
And I mean, people are wanting way too much. I just try to trade with sensible people who I've traded with in the past, and I stick with it because I mean, so many people have ruined the game. Specifically, people who are selling, they get beer not necessarily to trade, but specifically just to sell. So if you live in Arizona and there's this brewery on the release at Maine Beer Company, you ain't gonna get it, and you really want it, you're gonna pay a premium for it. And like Freddie said, you just destroyed it. You just destroyed the game for everybody else.
Well, that's the great thing about this community is especially the group that's here now. Like you pretty much, there's not really a region that we can't hit. You know what I mean? So there's no reason to really trade outside with random folks and get ripped off.
And don't take me wrong. I love to get my hands on a Hanapu or in a Black Tuesday or anything else, but I'm willing to go only so far nowadays. I think, as I say, I was trading with this guy, and he was like, "I'll worry about dollar for dollar." Like, there was a point I thought he want a copy of my receipt of what I'm buying him. I'm saying, man, I live in Pennsylvania. If I buy a 6-pack of Bud Light's gonna be more expensive than
absolutely
than the beers you get there. It's just like, for me now, I don't trade beer anymore. I will send you good stuff, and I hopefully you're gonna send me some stuff that I like as well.
When you're talking trading, dollar for dollar only works if you're talking about whales.
Yeah.
If you're not talking about whales, dollar for dollar is. I mean, it's gonna be completely subjective. I mean, like for example, gingerbread stout. I mean, that's not a super expensive beer for me, but it's very popular, and for people who can't get it, they want it. So the chips are a little bit in my favor. I mean, it would be stupid of me to go dollar for dollar for GBS, where I'll send you GBS, and you send me doggone, what I'm saying, Wicked Weed per whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you
just say dollar for dollar again, please.
No.
No, don't give him the satisfaction, Randy.
I won't.
He wants to hear your Buford accent.
I want to hear that low country dollar for dollar.
But that only works when like I said, when you trade in whales.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Outside of that dollar, outside of that, it doesn't work.
God, Randy. I can't believe I've been away from this for so long.
Yeah, you missed out.
Well,
but whales, dollar for dollar doesn't work for whales because whales are already, kind of have a higher value, right? I mean,
That's why. Well,
No, but like the
in
other
that
dollar
sense,
as in like what you buy at the
whale for
brewery, not
whale.
like secondary value though.
yeah,
It has to be whale for whale.
You
well
know?
for well.
Listen, I've seen like Three Floyds, like all these Dark Lord variants. They go for ridiculous amounts of money secondary. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like, I don't know what the price may be. I know, I believe Dark Lord and previously, you get scratch off tickets. You pay X amount of money to go to Dark Lord Day. You're guaranteed Dark Lord, and then you can maybe get variants, whatever variant they have. Nonetheless, I mean, you're definitely not paying, $300, $500 for that ticket. You know what I mean? So all of that Dark Lord now has bumped up. It's 4 times now its original value. Boom, instantly.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous though, because I mean, I guess it was bound to happen, but again, whoever started that, whoever sets the precedence, it just kills it for everyone because then it's what I mean, you're not gonna have that option anymore, even trying it. It's useless now.
But I'm of the opinion, people want to do it. They want to pay a bunch of money. Let them. And there's so much good stuff out there. I'm not gonna worry. I'm not gonna lose my sleep.
No, of course
Other
not.
people's practice.
But it's just in general things, like, because again, if that's the case, like for you it's easy, right? Because you travel a lot. For instance,
Not
you know what I mean?
much, actually.
Yeah, so you can hit up the breweries. You might
I can
not.
only hire the credit card, invoice from my wife for so long. So.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's different. Like, a lot of us don't have that option though. I mean, I can't go to Jackie O's and get a nice new Jackie O's hat. One day, the next day I'm in St. Louis.
But you're getting one of those at least. This
Yeah.
beer is excellent, by the way. Bourbon barrel brick kiln. I don't know if this is a whale, but this is worth of a bait and trade.
Dude, I love Jackie O's, man. Jackie O's, it's underrated, big time. But anyway, I'm on to number 2.
You know who's overrated? Avery.
Watch him.
I'm sorry, underrated. Did I say overrated?
Yeah, I said watch your mouth.
We're gonna fight,
Avery.
I thought we just did them like 4 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago.
Well, man, I didn't mean to say overrated. I think they're grossly underrated.
Underrated, yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm drinking. I guess this falls in the trade bait, not because I had it, because I traded for it. It is AleSmith's Hawaiian Speedway.
Nice.
That's so good.
So what that says, like coconut, right?
Yeah.
Coconut, vanilla, and something else.
Here's a curveball.
It's brewed with a different coffee too.
Yeah, I get the coffee. It's
Hawaiian
nowhere.
coffee.
Oh, hey, all right, go ahead. You gotta drink it. Just let me know. Tell me what I'm drinking. No, I honestly though, no, it's not as roasty. It's sweeter than regular Speedway style, the base beer. It's nowhere near as roasty as the base Speedway. But I don't know. Like the bottle date here, they got that printed on date. It's completely gone on the bottle. I don't know when this was bottled, but there is little to no coconut in this.
So Freddie, I saw a review today on that beer by Beer Geek Nation.
Yeah, there's like almost no coconut on this.
He had a bottle. His was bottled back in October, November, and coconut kind of fades.
Yes, it does, absolutely.
But that's not a very long time to lose,
Yeah, there's almost no.
That almost tells me that there was not a lot to start with then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
This-
like
it's
6-7 months.
I'll be honest though, this is I mean, in taste it's good. Don't get me wrong. The problem with this I have is that, again, it's Hawaiian. You see the coconut. You're thinking of, again. I recently had some really good coconut beers, right? I had obviously we had Death by Coconut, Oscar Blues, but then I had Hodad, which is a coconut porter from I think Lawson's maybe, and that was like the same thing. Death by Coconut, very like all coconut all day. So I'm already in that mode, and when I had this, and I was like, all right, let me just let it warm up. I let it warm up a little more, see what's going on, and it's like faintly there, but it's like almost like.
Freddie.
Remember, Freddie, I had a Death by Coconut.
Don't worry about Randy. You'll get talk one of these days.
It was last week, and I was still a lot of coconuts.
No, absolutely, that's what I'm saying. This is like it's like little. It's almost it's gone. I don't really. I couldn't say this was
How do you feel about it, Randy?
Well, perhaps it's our fault, right, for having the wrong expectations. We hear Hawaiian Speedway and we expect coconut, but the beer also has Hawaiian coffee in it.
Yep.
So maybe the highlight is supposed to be the Hawaiian coffee and not necessarily the coconut.
It's not bad because I enjoyed the actual, like, it's sweeter than the base beer, and I can actually enjoy that because it's not cloyingly sweet. You know what I mean? But you definitely get it's not as roasty, but you get a little bit of roast. But the coffee definitely comes through. You just don't get as much coconut. It has a nice, like, again, I like the original AleSmith mouthfeel. Same thing falls with this. I mean, it's really good, but
I don't know how many times they bottled that beer, but I had it on draft, and it was so coconut forward. It was insane. I mean, it was like just coconut sweet stout with coffee.
yeah, there's nothing.
How long-
So that may
How
be a
long ago was
flavor
that,
like
Doug?
like chilies that just fades really quick.
Yeah, it could be.
How long ago was
But
that?
as I
Doug?
said,
It was probably. I mean,
Well, maybe
it was,
like Gil said, maybe it's the amount
2-3
of coconut
months.
they're using, maybe. Like, or Randy, like it might be a mixture, like Gil and Randy saying. You know, it's not.
okay, I had the Boulevard one 2 weeks ago, and
The
that beer
Imperial
was
Stout?
amazing. That beer was excellent. There was coconut, there was coffee, there was everything in that beer.
Are you
That
talking
beer,
about the Imperial Stout X?
yeah, the pure stout. That beer is the proof that you can put coconut and coffee together, and you still get both flavors out of it.
I
And
mean,
man,
that's how I felt with Hawaiian Speedway. I mean, I got the sweet coconut and I got the coffee, and it was awesome.
I mean, Randy, didn't you have a few recently? Didn't you have some beers, Randall, through coconut and all this other?
Yeah. At the answer, they well, they call it the Ando, but they infuse a lot of their beers and they'll get like a barley wine like Gil's drinking right now, an English style barley wine, or they've even gotten Speedway Stout and they've randled it with coconut and coffee, and it's lights out from the nose to the palate, amazing. So it can be done, like Gil said. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I did Bourbon County and a French press with coconut, and I almost
But
added too much
let me
coconut.
let me tell about this beer and the Jack Hill, the one I'm drinking. This beer has a lot of vanilla and coconut from it, and I think the flavors of coconut that I'm getting here, which is
Barrel?
quite a lot, is probably it's from the barrels.
Barrel, yeah.
I mean, this beer was about a year aging, and so you can achieve that coconut, like the roast coconut flavor. I don't know if they put coconut. I'm gonna look into it, but I get a lot of coconut from this beer.
I've never gotten coconut from the barrel, man.
Yeah, I got vanilla, coconut, coffee, tones of caramel. It's a very complex beer. That's a beer that is worth thinking worth.
Is that a 12-ounce bottle?
That's a 2014 bourbon barrel. That's a 12.7, right? That little mini wine. It's like 12.5 ounce. I love those little bottles.
Yeah, Jackie O's is phenomenal, man. Those guys, they know what they're doing.
But again, I'm a sucker for barley wine. I think barley wines are really, really something that draw me in, and when it's well made like this, it's
Gil, is it an English barley wine?
you
You
know,
get any hot presents?
I get no hop present, very little. I would say it's English. They don't say here. For me, it tastes more like an English because there's that sweet end to it,
Yeah.
very slight
Yeah.
sweet end to it. So I would say it's more like an English style barley
Okay.
wine. I normally I find American style barley wine a little hot for me, almost
or
like needs a
triple
rest.
IPA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triple IPA.
Yeah, but this is really, really. I mean, whatever Jack Hill's is doing they're doing right. It's an excellent beer.
Yeah, those guys, they definitely do, man. I guess anything can be trade bait on the subject of trading, right? It's just a matter of who's willing to who wants what, you know what I mean, or what you're willing to give up.
Well, it's like we were talking about on that after party the other day. It was like,
Yeah.
for me personally, I would rather trade a 6-pack or 12-pack of just kind of local regional things that I can get to somebody out in
Things, yeah.
Nevada that for 12 pack something that they can get, or
Yep.
that's not necessarily like regional stuff to them, but or not necessarily West Coast, but something more specific to, you know, wherever they are. You know, their
very local,
city.
very
Yeah,
local. Yeah.
like that's the kind of stuff that interests me more. I mean, granted, I would love to trade for, you know, some of the bigger beers out there, but me personally, I don't have the, you know, stuff on my end to trade for.
Absolutely.
Those, like, I can't make it to Hardywood tomorrow for Foolery or whatever it is, or I can't make the Licking Hole Creek tomorrow for their
Supreme Leader.
Yeah.
But then look at the lineup that Hardywood have and some other breweries. So many good, so many awesome beers that and those are the breweries that make me not rushing around looking for some crazy stuff because there's so much alternative there. Boulevard and other, you know.
Yeah.
I like that Matt is having like a spasm into his glass.
Oh well, I went for a second. I went for my second beer.
He would have fallen in. Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's throwback right there.
Yeah, right there, baby. Best before July 2013. This is this is from the original batch back.
What was it again? I'm sorry, I didn't get to see.
It's 3 beans.
Oh, 3 beans. Yes.
The same batch you had it. Because I got from Matthew the ones I sent to you.
This was the first canning back after Superstorm Sandy in 2012. So this would have been probably December of 2012 that they canned this. And I'm telling you, I get coffee and chocolate and body. Oh my God! Nice. I still have 5 or 6 of these cans. If anybody wants trade bait.
There you go.
I wonder why they would even put a Best By date on that, because it's a big beer that should age well.
Yeah, and it has aged well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's all of the dates is probably all about the brewmaster's intentions, right? I mean, the beer might be.
Well,
awesome
depends which states they're distributing. They have to do that.
Yeah. And we know this brewmaster. This was back when Jan was still there.
Yeah, he's been gone for a
couple of years.
Yeah.
That's one of my all-time best porters. I mean, that beer is yeah. One day I'm talking to Matt, and Matt posted this picture. No, not Matt. The Xanadu, whatever the place where he's.
Yeah.
This new stuff they got, and I see this blurry brown things on the back of the picture. So I go on my Photoshop and I clean as much as I can because I'm thinking that is a 3 beans. And I can faintly read 3 beans. So I email Matt and said, Matt, is there any way you can stop there? Because I think this guy has a 3 bean. Like sitting in the back of the shelf.
I bought the whole case. I sent you a 4-pack of it, but I still have some on the shelf. I bought the whole case that day.
Damn, must be nice.
It's good.
That said,
wrap this baby up. We'll take this to the after party.
Yeah, we're gonna take this to the after party and to our viewer. We got space. Come join us.
Yeah, get in and have a beer with us.
Ask us for the link. We'll send it to you. Come join us.
I might know who it is, actually. Let me see.
Be sure to join us next week when we are celebrating. And this is going to be an interesting one because I feel like everybody's going to have a different beer. Everybody should be able to get them, and I think everybody's going to have a different beer. We're celebrating Clown Shoes next week.
Yep.
So that should be. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So from us to you. Until next week when we celebrate Clown Shoes Brewing. Cheers.
Cheers.
Find those P's and Q's.
Throwback.